Morning all. I had an interesting game last night, to say the least. I was playing for Muswell Hill chess game, which I haven't had a good season, to be honest. I've posted already to the channel one horrendous game from it. Well, you try and learn from these experiences really, and try and improve as a player. That's all you can do. In other leagues, I've fared much better. It seems a complete reversal of leagues compared to last year, where I didn't do so well in the Hearts League, and I did brilliantly in this Middlesex League last season. And it's complete reverse. I don't know, some psychology is kicking in on the league by league basis. It seems to be the case. But okay, we were playing Imperial College, who seemed to have a very strengthened team last night. And I am on board one, Qce2, an FM on board 2, someone about 200 on board 3, and I was playing a 209 on board 4, James Hookham. And if you look up Imperial College, he's the top player in Imperial College. And I, given I had a bad start in this particular league, I don't know, I was already a bit apprehensive, and I don't think that's a good state of being for a chess game. So perhaps the league or the opponent or something playing black as well probably adds a little bit to it. I think just going to the crime scene of where you've lost once or twice before in that particular league might explain it. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, to be honest, but let me show you the game. So e4, and for some weird reason, okay, well, I think I sometimes think it's better to play what you know, even if you have lost quite a few games, and it's like experience. So I tried a French. I'm thinking, why not try the Sicilian this season? That's something I had kind of wanted last time. I've lost quite a few games in the French defence last season, and without much counterplay, going down without much of a fight. And I did want to play the Sicilian, and it seems last night I was having some dream about some Kasparov game in Sicilian where he crushed some GM, and I was able to watch the whole game with Kasparov crushing this GM. It was weird anyway, so maybe that's kind of a final indication I should be playing the Sicilian defence and not the French defence. So anyway, he plays d4, d5, and yes, my position isn't completely lost yet. Knight d2, and now the surprise move, which isn't a surprise move at all, and everyone must have analysed this to death or something, bishop e7. So I guess it's not a surprise to anyone on planet Earth anymore, this move, bishop e7, this waiting move. It used to be knight f6, maybe the more mainline theory, but it's not a surprise because people don't go for a quick e5, or even in this game a quick c3. He just plays bishop d3. So I play c5. So far, yes, it's not a completely lost position again, but after d takes c5, possibly knight c6 might be able to get away with, because I'm not sure knight b3 though. I wasn't sure about knight b3 there, and I should really know the theory of this if I'm going to play. I took immediately, or maybe even knight d7, or just knight f6 for knight d7. Anyway, so it would be good to do a reference check. In fact, let's do a reference check now on this position. I'm going to click the reference tab. Apparently, most games here, and I don't know why I keep getting this very wrong, or don't use reference checks. Maybe that's one of my problems. I haven't been using the reference checks in ChessBase Live, ChessBase for previous French defence games recently. Knight f6 is the most popular move. 713 games. Morozevich, Aronian, I didn't even know he played French that much. Okay, so knight f6 here. Oh, maybe as white. I don't know. Okay, so knight d7 is 88 games. Bishop takes is only 32. So already I've come off the rails with bishop takes c5, and I thought there's something wrong. I'm moving a piece twice with bishop takes c5. It can't be that good. I was just a bit concerned about this pawn being held onto. But I think with knight f6, we could check this now. I don't think it's possible. If we go with the knight f6 move as a continuation, queen e2, let's go with the most popular. White's not trying to play knight b3. If white plays knight b3, let's just check this here. Isn't there just... Okay, knight takes black should be okay. Black should be okay. I think black's okay. He's held on to the pawn, but it's a good gambit there. Maybe with some compensation. So anyway, I somehow I've come off the rails with bishop c5 in what I thought was a sort of comfort zone when I don't really know the theory. The other thing is the personality of the position now is not like closed now. He's opening up lines as well by taking on c5. It's becoming a more open position, and I can feel the harsh wind, cold wind of the white's initiative here. So okay, knight c6 from an engine point of view. Let's actually reserve that for the second pass. So let's close that and go back here. So after castles, I don't know why I didn't just castle here, for example. There must be some psychological reason for this. I don't know if I'm trying to punish the absence of c3. Is that so outrageous? The king's still in the centre, which means, you know, anything like knight b4, there's bishop as played, there's bishop b5 check, and this is quite dangerous. So I don't know why, but for some reason I was tempted for knight b4. I think I was looking at this bishop as well. I think this is it, and a bit concerned about it. I think, for example, if I'd castled e5, I'm looking at this bishop being a bit blocked in, and white getting a seemingly nice overprotection. But again, it's not end of game. As long as no Greek gift with bishop takes h7, this position should be okay, and we should check this out in the second pass, but it should be okay. Something psychological, I don't know. I think it's easy to do a Mr. Bean and sometimes make things a lot worse, where you have some anxiety, and instead of trying to accept that issue, you make the issue absolutely gigantic, Mr. Bean proportions. And I think I've just done that here. I'm playing like Mr. Bean in this league. I don't know why, and I wish it would stop, but I've played knight b4 here. It's a Mr. Bean move. I don't know why. Just because I'm a bit frightened about white's overprotection and a bad bishop, I played knight b4. I don't know. I turned into Bean. Okay. So anyway, he plays bishop b5 check. All is not totally lost yet. Bishop d7. But now after c3, I'm thinking, what have I done? I'm really thinking, what have I done here? I can't take on b5 check, will win the bishop. If I go back, maybe he just takes here, and then this d file looks bad for rook d1 later. So I thought, okay, I'll carry on the cleverness, and I make things even worse. I play d takes e4, so my king's still in the centre. So I'm violating, how many basic principles have I violated so far? Moving a piece twice, yes, encouraged by DC, and the slight fear over that, about white regaining, sort of holding on to the pawn, which was unjustified, theoretically. Then there's like this piece that was moved twice, then the king that's left in the centre. So there's at least 3 rule violations from playing like Mr. Bean so far. Okay, and to be honest, yeah, in the other leagues, I've actually won, prior to this game, 3 games in a row. So I was actually, in some way, I was trying to convince myself not to be kind of nervous tonight, but I think certain factors came in, and this Mr. Bean effect of making issues worse really became apparent. So how am I making issues worse, you might think? Well, you see, what's happened here is the position, unlike what French defence players want, strategic close, is now totally getting blasted open. Even this d file, I'm gonna feel the cold ice wind on the d file here. So bishop takes d7, and I realise now, actually, this is a really painful move. Bishop takes d7. Already, I'm thinking, what have I done? Because if I play queen takes d7, unfortunately in this position he's got a killer forcing move. Can you see it? It's a very simple killer forcing move. If I give you 10 seconds here, starting from now. Okay, and I actually, you know, he would just play knight e5 here, because then if I move my queen, he's got queen b5 check, just winning material and everything, and end of game. So I have to play knight takes d7, and then he plays knight takes e4, and I'm pretty sure he fluffs up a little bit here. He's got a great position, he's got rook d1 coming in. I play knight c6, and yeah, if we look at this second pass, I've already briefly looked at this with an engine, but I think White's doing very well here. But we'll check its second pass. Rook d1. It's everything I don't want as black here. Anyway, but I have some relief at being able to play bishop e7, and now some relief at this b4, which I thought gives me time to play queen c7. And I thought, hold on, isn't the worst over? But I don't know, there's this Mr. Bean that wants to come out in this game to make any issue 100 times worse. But here, bishop g5, this next move that I play might actually be okay, possibly. If I castle, well, not as horrendous as maybe it seems. It's not entirely clear, well, I hope it isn't, that White's got a totally forced win or anything. You know, why not just castle here? I don't get how I'm playing, but you know, that's again a lesser evil move, what we'd call lesser evil moves. And I think this concept of lesser evil, maybe it's good to marry that with the idea of not making issues worse, like Mr. Bean. But yeah, what is there an issue with d6 if he took? And yes, he's got a big knight on d6, but is it the end of the world? That's something to check out in the second pass. Maybe it isn't. The other thing I was worried about was b5 though. And here, I was thinking maybe later, well hold on, b5 here is actually an issue, it seems. I can't move the knight without losing the bishop. And if I take here, actually the problem is this forcing move is a killer, isn't it? Because this bishop can't go anywhere and I'm losing d7. So no, it justifies b4. Yes, this was the source of the anxiety, but I think I did play actually a good move. So here, at move 15, I've played a move which potentially fatally weakens e6 as usual, but I did reason he hasn't got the light square bishop, so this might not be that terrible, this weakness. And if I get a knight to e5, I shield that e-file, and I want to shield against queen c4 after his next move. He plays bishop e3, so I want to shield against queen c4. Okay, so there is an issue. How not to be a Mr. Bean about protecting queen c4? Now, as we've seen from the Anand Immortal game recently on the channel, the idea of moving a knight, for example, to g5 weakens h2 and e5. Now, in this game, this weakness of the last move, it's not too difficult, surely, to track the weakness of a knight move. If you consider, for example, this knight is as far as relevant squares, the most key squares, it's these two. This knight, it's, you know, maybe you consider it's these two, okay, but this knight in particular, let's imagine it's these two squares that we want to track the weakness of the last move. Okay, let's just imagine that. So the Mr. Bean in me, for some reason in this league, wants to destroy my position and wants to make any issue 100 times worse. So what is the best way to stop queen c4? And what is the worst way to stop queen c4? So that's my quiz question to you. What would you play here to stop queen c4? And I have given you some clues already. So queen c4, just to try and minimise the disadvantage here. I think black is worse, but it might not be completely fatal immediately. So if I give you 10 seconds here, what would you play here to try and parry queen c4? Because I believe it is fairly unpleasant threat as threats go, because if you did castle, for example, no, you know, queen c4 hits e6, threatens b5, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Okay, so let's imagine you want to stop queen c4. There are two ways of doing it, and I don't know what gets into me, but you know, checking for my own weakness of the last move is an important thing, because then also as part of weakness of the last move, if you leave the opponent any major forcing moves, that can really transform the position from what was okay to completely lost in an instant. Yeah, like going, you know, through a hyperdrive or something, black hole or something. You end up in a totally lost position from what was an okay position. I played knight c e5, and yes, okay, it does tick one box. It leaves, though, this weakness of the last move, that d4 square. And guess what white plays here? After which I might as well resign this position if I give you 10 seconds starting from now. White just plays knight d4, and I've got no easy way of defending e6. I mean, maybe, you know, you might consider knight f8. I thought king f7. I actually thought king f7, and I'm looking forward to some c-file control or whatever. But then also he's got this forcing move to come into d6. It starts to be a little bit horrendous, and I think I was hoping, well, knight b5, queen b6. Isn't it? You know, maybe it's not that clear because I'm on this knight, so he can't take here, for example. Maybe knight d6, maybe I'm surviving in some way. Anyway, I thought this was going to be a continuation, and it wasn't. No, he just kicks the knight, another forcing move. The position is being forcibly knocked around with black, with the king kind of vulnerable on f7. Although I remember some botnet games with kings on f2, but it's not the same with all this pressure. White's got heavy centralization here with tempo. These knights are pretty impressive. I don't know how White's position got so aggressive. And I was thinking, how on earth did this happen? Really? How? So knight g6, thinking, okay, I just need one more move. Maybe I can help the defences here with, say, rook d8. Maybe sacrifice a pawn. Maybe, you know, get my king to safety if I'm dreaming. But no, my illusions are shattered. He takes my king. He brings my king into the game with knight takes e6. It's completely lost. And I didn't even see it here. I don't know my tactical calculation. I thought maybe I was hoping he'd blundered. Maybe queen g4 f5. Maybe I was hoping he'd blundered, but no. In this position, guess what White plays in this position? A very neat tactical move. If I give you 10 seconds, starting from now. Okay, he just plays knight g5 check. I can't go back. I don't really want to go forward now. Just get mated with g4. So he just takes, and he's winning my queen. Bishop b6 check. I thought, and he leaves the board. I think, shall I resign? Okay, how do I get him back to resign? I want to resign this position. No, it's hold on a sec. Okay, I want to get him back to board, but I did know it's queen e5. So I play queen e5 thinking, do I get 3 pieces of the queen here? Maybe this is quite interesting. But no, he just plays this forcing move, check. So he's going to take my queen with check, so there's nothing going on here. King f5, and another forcing move here, just to make sure I'm not getting many pieces. G4 check, so he's going my queen with check. Horrendous. And it just started off with one wrong knight move. But I don't psychologically, I don't know. I was on a bad foot to start off with this game, and this idea of playing like Mr. Bean, you know, making things a lot worse. And this is what I get. I was thinking, I don't know. I think it reached this threshold of being such a bad game that I could sleep after it. Usually I can't sleep after a loss, but after this one, I thought, wow, that's quite amusing or something. It was just so bad, it's amusing. I don't know. I don't really know. But let's see from an engine point of view. Let's go through technically. So I've clearly done a Mr. Bean here. I've made issues a lot worse than they need to be. This doesn't have to be a major issue. Even the engine without a book is saying knight f6 here. If White wants to try and hold on to that pawn. But mind you see, as a backdrop to this, I did have a nightmare French defence game where White did hold on to the pawn, get a huge knight to d4 later, and it was quite a bad memory from some tournament I think a couple of years back, so I think I had some bad memory wanting to recapture this pawn immediately to stop that kind of thing. I think that was what crept in. But really, one needs to know, I think here, the theory, because you know the king's still in the centre. Yeah, so if you get this wrong, this could be going badly wrong. Knight f6 should be safe enough here, because e5 is a double attack. You know, white has to. You know, I'm going to get this pawn back. It's guaranteed, it seems, to get the pawn back off the knight f6. So that was the first issue I'm trying to make worse. Like Mr. Bean. Okay, so no, I take on c5. So I'm using two moves here. He's got two pieces developed to my one. Just on development counts, this isn't good. I don't know what's happened to the engine here. It's back. Okay, let's try and get a little bit more of the okay, so I've used my development is not too good, and the nature of the position, it's like very sharp and tactical. It's not what I want. It's like my opponent doesn't have to leverage lots of culture of the French defence or pawn chains or strategic ideas. It can be purely a tactical fight, as though someone completely new to chess could just discover forcing moves and win from this position. Especially after knight b4. So I guess, yes, I'm worried about this e5 and white securing an overprotection position, and it didn't look that good, and I was worried about this bishop, and I make things a hell of a lot, a great deal worse than what they need to be. Yeah. So here the engine is giving castling, yeah, and saying so what, yeah. It's not saying to make the issues like 100 times worse. If we go with this, bishop e7, is there a win for white? No. Is white better? Possibly. Is it a big deal? 0.26 at this depth. It's not a big deal, this position. Where would my counterplay come from, though? Okay, let's imagine rook d1. Now, if he doesn't play c3 here, maybe now, after I've castled, maybe knight b4 is okay here. And it should be okay. I don't know, And if he plays c3, okay, let's go with just b6. Just put the bishop there, and it's waiting, ready and waiting for an opportunity later. Then it's not. Is it such a big deal? This bishop, I don't know. This kind of terror. Oh, I've got this bad bishop. I've got to wreck my position to make sure I don't have this bad bishop. It's a bad psychology. Okay, even if it came here, let's go with knight d4. I mean, maybe queen c7 as well. Offer it up there. Is white really crushing with f4? Probably not. Maybe this is okay. It's okay. This position is okay. So just castling. So and Mr. Bean comes out here for some reason, saying in this league, okay, I've lost at this territory before a couple of times. Why can't I play a decent game at least a couple of times? So in this season, I don't know. I'm just making things worse. So bishop b5 check, bishop d7, c3, and I've been kicked around with forcing moves, which someone, even if they don't have any clue of positional play, they could win this game with some key forcing moves. And I'm not really helping matters with d takes e4. Again, a lesser evil move, knight c6. So say takes, okay, say he tries to open things up. It's not good. We're approaching like 1 unit of advantage here, and I'm not even a pawn down, but it's as though I'm a pawn down. It isn't good. Okay, but the thing is, okay, if I'm forced to play, if I can't castle here because of rook d5, that's a problem. This position, it might not be totally lost immediately, but it looks pretty grim, to say the least, if his queen's coming to h6. So I don't know. So things have gone badly, and this doesn't help. Bishop takes d7, accurate move. Knight takes d7. I think he misses a win here. Knight c6. Okay, rook d1 is a very good move apparently. It's setting me all sorts of problems. Well, I can't castle because of knight takes c5, for example. So I can't castle. Fine. I play bishop e7, and apparently a knockout move is bishop g5 almost. which he didn't play. So what's the idea? If I take knight takes here, now I probably can't castle here. Let's see why. No, it's not that apparent. Queen c2 I think threatens rook d7 and knight f6 for mating on h7. Okay, so that's the threat. Rook d7, knight f6 check, take, and queen h7. If I play g6, there's rook d7. So this pinned knight here is not very pleasant. So he possibly missed this. This looks very, very pleasant for white. If rook e8, knight d6, and here it's looking grim. If I play here, well, I get mated on h7. If I take here, I lose the exchange because I'm losing d7 after. So that's pretty grim as well. No, but he didn't play bishop g5. He kind of let me off the hook with b4. You see, it's only like it's about 1 unit of advantage, which is quite significant. So queen c7, bishop g5, provoking a weakness, which I've got to be very careful of in respect to any weaknesses of the last move, which emphasises its weakness. And I just make this absolute howler here. One move, and my position is basically, it seems, completely lost after knight ce5. Look at this, we've gone to +3. Knight ce5. From position, I thought in the Morris Smith gambit there's sometimes lines where f6 and knight e5 are played. It has some reassurance that it's okay. I think I remember now why I chose this knight. I thought it had some lucrative perk to it, that the queen was eyeing the c file and the c4 square. That's what it was. I think this lucrative perk of the queen being activated, and I didn't think that it's not controlling d4 here. If you look at this position with knight d e5, a little bit better. White's still better though, by almost a pawn advantage. So let's say knight c5 anyway. What do I do to defend e6 here? Okay, maybe take. It's still grim, actually. It's still very, very grim. But is it as grim as the game? No. So let's see. I mean, I can't castle here. I mean, he'd probably win this anyway, this position, even if I chose the other move, because it looks as though it's just very uncomfortable. If I play a move like king f7, that might get blasted, I suppose. And what does actually rook d6 do here? I see queen h5 check is now dangerous. And I guess I can't play rook e8 check. If I go here, I lose the rook. If I go there, I move into the bishop. So yeah, it's grim anyway. It was grim, but it seems a whole series of Mr. Bean-like moves from the opening, starting from bishop takes c5, first Mr. Bean move. Then we have the second Mr. Bean move. I think it's the most significant rule violations, underestimating bishop b5 check with the view of c3. There's no tactical stunts here which would work out. So this is third Mr. Bean move. D takes e4. Okay, and now I can't play queen takes d7 because of knight e5. Okay, and now, you know, I just, again, okay, I'm a bit wary about castling here. In fact, sorry, if I'd castled here, did we analyse that? If I castle here, this is very powerful, b5. I mean, also, as black, it's easy to slip up anyway. You don't need to be a Mr. Bean to get crushed as black, because white's got an initiative in any case. This looks horrendous. I see. Positioning, I didn't even know. I wasn't entirely sure, but it just looks horrendous, this position. This pressure here. If we try and say grovel with queen c8, bishop d6, it doesn't look very nice at all. I don't know why it's so like 1.54 here, though. It's not. Is white forcibly winning material? Maybe. Knight f5. This from, yeah, if it's playing Houdini, it'll be even worse. Okay, but it's okay. It's not as bad as the game. So even castling here, but no, I play. Sorry, after b4, I play Queen c7 because I think that's quite a comfortable move to play to get out of the pin. I think psychologically I just wanted to get out of the pin, so Queen c7 didn't seem entirely bad. It's this next bit which raises some other questions. And there was also something I saw about bishop takes g5 and castling, which I didn't like, which was this idea that d7 is vulnerable. So if castle here, yes, I saw this knight e6. I was worried about it. This position I was wary of. But actually, yeah. So actually, I didn't see quite that clearly. But I was just wary of a sack on e6. But actually, there's even stronger here in knight takes h7. Let's go with this. Check. Queen takes d7. Yeah, that's okay for white, but again, it's not as dead as the game, but it's going to be ultimately lost with good play from white. So it's pretty bad that I can't do natural moves for sure. And actually, in a, I don't know, knight f6 is another alternative. Why not just knight f6 here? I mean, I guess it's pretty horrendous as well. It's this sort of position as black is just one devoid of counterplay right now. White's got a lot of pressure. So okay, things go completely tits up, shall we say, after knight e5. Okay, I hope you got something from it. I think I'm going to try and never play the French defence ever again. I think I've said that before. I want to try playing the Sicilian defence and accept all the anti-Sicilian lines. I think that'll be better than this. I don't know. I just don't want to see in this position. I don't want to play the French defence anymore after this game. I vow again. Please, New Year resolution. Play some openings with black, which promise some counterplay. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.